Okay, so let us begin. Okay, so students, we are studying modern periodic table. I think so by now you all have more idea about this chapter than the idea that you all had before. Okay, fine. Just a minute. Check if it's recording. Okay. Okay, everyone can see the PDF, right? Please just give me a confirmation quickly.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine, good. So students, as I always say, the main thing to understand this chapter is electronic configuration. I think so by now everyone is kind of familiar how to write electronic configuration. Okay, fine. And students, just based on electronic configuration, see, your modern periodic table comprises of 118 elements. So it is divided into a lot of things. It is divided into 7 periods, 18 groups, 4 blocks and everything. Just by writing the configuration, you all can determine where the position of any particular element is. I know there are one or two exceptions here and there, like your helium. Okay, so according to the configuration, helium should be in S block, but it is an inert gas, it is a noble gas. That is the reason it is in group 18. So there are one or two exceptions like that. Okay, but apart from that, you all can simply write the configuration and determine where a particular element is, which period, which group and which block. Okay, so even these type of questions we have discussed in this chapter. All right, fine. So I think so now, right now, like now you all are quite familiar with how to relate configuration with periodic table. Now we have to move ahead and we have to study a little bit about properties of these elements or properties of these groups and all. Okay, fine. So the next topic that we are starting with, students, is blockwise characteristics of elements. Okay, fine. So what is this block wise characteristics and everything? So every block, there are 4 blocks like SPDF, and you all know how the elements are put up into specific blocks. We see where the just a minute. We see that where the valence electron is entering. Okay, fine. So for any element, if the last electron is entering S subshell, it means it belongs to S block. If it is entering P subshell, it means it belongs to P block. Okay, fine. So all these things you all already know. Okay, so first let us see. Okay, students, I want you all to keep your textbooks near you all, keep a pencil or something near you all, because today we are going to mark a lot of things and we are going to also note down 1 or 2 points. So I feel if you all note it down in the textbook itself, somewhere over here where the empty space is there, it will be easy for you all. Okay, fine. So see to it that your notebooks are near you all. You all are on page number 99 of your textbook. Keep pencils along with you all. Okay, fine. So let us begin. Okay, so students, first let us start with S block. All right, so we all know that your S orbital can hold 2 electrons. Okay, and S is not further divided, it is on its own. So that is the reason your S block has 2 groups. Okay, fine. Group 1 and group 2. Configuration of group 1 was NS1. Okay, okay, in S subshell, if 1 electron is entering, it means the element belongs to first group. If in S subshell 2 electrons are entering, it means the element belongs to second group of S block. Okay. So the S block contains group 1 elements which are known as alkali metals. I'll just zoom it in a little bit. Wait. Just a minute, okay? All right, fine. Okay, so group 1 elements are called alkali metals. Group 2 elements are called alkaline earth metals. Okay, fine. So why they are called alkali metals and why group 2 elements are called alkaline earth metals? See, students, if I give you a general idea, overall your S block elements are very reactive in nature. Okay, fine. They are very reactive. That is the reason they are not freely available. Okay, fine. So if I talk about group 1 elements, so normally your group 1 elements, they are kept, you all must have heard this already, like sodium is highly reactive. That is the reason it is kept in kerosene. Yes or no? It is not kept in open air, and your sodium is something that comes in group 1. So basically, see students, normally all the group elements, okay, elements belonging to the same group, they have kind of similar properties. There might be one or two exceptions in that, but this is normally the tendency. Okay, fine. So students, your group 1 elements and group 2 elements, both of them are highly reactive. Okay, if I talk about group 1 elements, they are kept in kerosene or oil maybe. Okay, we see to it that they do not come in touch with water. Okay, reason one is that they are highly reactive. Reason two is that your group 1 elements, when they react with water, they form alkaline solutions. Students, I hope you all understand the difference between acidic and alkaline. Alkaline means your bases, okay, or basic natured solutions. All right. So your group 1 elements, they react with water to form alkali solutions. They form alkaline solutions. That is the reason they are called alkali metals. Okay, fine. I hope you all are understanding this. What you all can do is, students, you all can note this thing down somewhere on this page itself, on page number 99 itself of your textbook. You are in the sideways or somewhere, you all can write down that group 1 elements are highly reactive. I hope you all are noting it down. Okay. Group 1 elements are highly reactive. So they are kept under oil. Group 1 elements are highly reactive. So they are kept under oil. They form alkaline solutions. They form alkaline solutions when they react with water. Okay, so I'll repeat, students. Group 1 elements are highly reactive. So they are kept under oil. They form alkaline solutions when they react with water. Okay, that is the reason they are called alkali metals. Students, please let me know if everyone has noted down the statement.
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Yes.
If anyone wants to
Yes.
repeat me the statement, then you all have to tell me, okay, that miss, please repeat. Okay, fine. All right. Now, if I discuss about group 2, that is alkaline earth metals. Okay. Now, students, again, same thing. See, because they are highly reactive, both of them, group 1, group 2 elements, they are not freely available. Okay. As discussed in group 1, they are kept under oil or something. Okay, they are not kept in open air because they are very reactive. If I talk about group 2 elements, students, normally your group 2 elements, they are in combined state. Like they are in compound form with some other element. They have combined with some other element and they are in a compound format. They are not in open form, just like group 1. Okay, fine. Now, students, for alkaline earth metals also, the basic idea is same. That is, they are going to form alkaline solution. But what is the difference is that in group 2 element, students, they are oxides. Okay, fine. See, I just mentioned, right? Your group 2 elements, they are not freely available. They are in compound form with something. So the oxide form, like if they have combined with oxygen and formed an oxide. Okay. So oxides of these group 2 elements, they dissolve in water to form alkaline solution. So what you all can do is, students, you all can note one more statement down for group 2 elements. Okay. So oxides of group 2 elements, or you all can write oxides of group 2 metals. Now, students, I think so this much you all know that normally in your periodic table, whatever mostly on the left hand side, we have metals. Okay, fine. We'll come to that. Actually, all those points have been mentioned over here. So for right now, what you all do is group 2 elements or oxides of group 2 metals, or you all can write oxides of group 2 elements. Okay, produce alkaline solution with water. Oxides of group 2 elements, or you all can write oxides of group 2 metals, produce alkaline solution with water. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, students, so let us move ahead. All these elements are reactive metals. Okay, they have written it in your textbook. Okay, fine. Please remember what we are doing. We are studying characteristics of S blocks. What are the various properties that S block shows? Okay, fine. All right, let's move ahead. Okay, now this point I want you all to mark. Okay, this point I want you all to mark. Okay, they are compounds. They are compounds means the S block compounds of the S block elements. Okay, with exception of lithium and beryllium, are predominantly ionic. Okay, now students, what is this term? Predominantly ionic means mostly ionic. If you all want, you all can write it down somewhere above. Predominantly ionic, mostly ionic. So what they're trying to say is that the compounds which these elements form, for example, your sodium is part of group 1, right? So normally the compounds that we see, for example, NaCl. Now NaCl is nothing but Na plus and Cl minus, right? It is an ionic compound. Ionic, I hope you all understand the difference. Covalent compound is by sharing of electrons, but ionic compounds are because of give and take of electrons, right? So what they are trying to say over here is that the elements of group 1 and group 2, they mostly prefer ionic compounds. See, their compounds are mostly ionic, with exception. Now here we have exception. Which are the exception elements? Lithium and beryllium. Students, lithium and beryllium, if you all will observe, just a minute. Where's the periodic table? Okay, fine. Now try to analyze from here. See, this is group 1 and group 2. Okay, fine. Yes or no? S block, alright. So lithium and beryllium are the first members. Lithium is the first member of group 1 and beryllium is the first member of group 2. So they are kind of exceptions because they also tend to form non-ionic compounds. It is not necessary that they always form ionic compounds. Okay, fine. I hope you all are understanding. So mark this statement. Let us move ahead. This is because now, okay, why elements of group 1 and group 2 prefer mostly ionic compounds? This is because they have only one or two valence electrons. Students, I hope you all remember the general configuration of S block. It is from ns1 to 2. For group 1 it is ns1, for group 2 it is ns2, meaning group 1 has one valence electron. I hope you all understand the term valence electron, and group 2 has two valence electrons. Yes or no? Okay, fine. So these elements will prefer giving away their electrons. Yes or no? If there is only one valence electron or two valence electrons, it is usually preferred that it leaves the element. Okay, fine. I hope you all understood. This is basic like metals, non-metals concept. So metals have the tendency to easily give away electrons. Yes or no? Non-metals, they tend to accept electrons and all. So the same concept over here. Okay, so they have only two valence electrons which they can lose readily, forming M plus or M2 plus. Now students, here capital M stands for nothing. I mean, it is not any element as such. Okay, it is just a general representation. Like how in organic chemistry, RH is for representing alkane, right? R is for representing alkyl group. So similarly, your M stands for metal. Okay, so so M plus ions will be formed from which group? Group 1. Why? Because group 1 has one valence electron. So it will give away that one valence electron and form N plus. For example, your sodium. Sodium gives away one electron and forms Na plus. Okay, fine. Whereas your group 2 elements, they form M2 plus. Okay, fine. Again, very easy to understand, students. Nothing that difficult over here. Okay, fine. Okay, now this last statement. Please mark this last statement as well. Okay. Now, students, the thing is that there are two concepts, ionization enthalpy, okay, ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy. The thing is that both these concepts are discussed in detail ahead in this chapter, but still there are one or two points that they have involved over here. So what I want you all to do is you all can just in general write down what the meaning is, because while you all are reading it, you all should understand what that means. Okay, fine. Okay, students, have you all heard the term enthalpy before? Please let me know.
No, ma'am.
No, miss.
Just
Miss.
okay, fine. Okay, so don't worry about it. Actually, these enthalpy concepts and everything, again, it is going to be taught to you all in chemistry. Now, I'm not exactly sure which chapter it is in. What you all can do is, okay, so what you all can do is you all can start noting down the statements. Okay, fine. Later I'll move ahead. Firstly, I'll mark this last statement. Okay, let us quickly read what is written over here. They have low ionization enthalpies. Okay, they have low ionization enthalpies which decrease down the group, resulting in increased reactivity. Okay, okay, first you all note down what ionization enthalpy is, then we'll get back to this. Okay, now students, again there are two terms that I want you all to note down. First is ionization enthalpy, and the next actually it is going to come ahead over here. That is electron gain enthalpy. Okay, fine. So okay, and when you all write enthalpy, it is just py. Okay, enthalpies is plural. Okay, so what you all do is just write down ionization enthalpy. Write the term ionization enthalpy somewhere over here in your textbook. Okay, write the term ionization enthalpy, and in front of it write down what I'm dictating, what I'm going to dictate. Okay, so ionization enthalpy, is the minimum amount of energy, the minimum amount of energy required, the minimum amount of energy required to remove the electrons. Minimum amount of energy required to remove the electrons. Students, actually it is to remove the loosely bound electron, but it's okay. Like just try to remove the electrons. It is understood. Okay, fine. So I'll repeat once the statement for ionization enthalpy. Minimum amount of energy required to remove the electrons. Okay, fine. Remove the electrons. Okay, so this is ionization enthalpy. Next, write down electron gain enthalpy. Okay, that term is going to come ahead, students. That is the reason. Write it down now only. Okay, like this term, electron gain enthalpy. So write this name, electron gain enthalpy. Put a colon or something and then write down. Okay, first write down electron gain enthalpy and then you all can write down energy released while accepting an electron. Energy released while accepting an electron. Okay, fine. Students, everyone please let me know if you all have noted down both the statements, ionization enthalpy and
Yes,
electron.
miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. All right. Okay. Now see, students, what you all can do is you all can quickly write down what enthalpy is, because I thought you all knew what it is, but it's okay. Just quickly write down what enthalpy, the word enthalpy means. It is a quantity. It is a quantity equivalent to the total heat content of a system. Enthalpy, what is enthalpy? It is a quantity equivalent to the total heat content of a system. It is a quantity equivalent to the total heat content of the system. Okay, fine. See, students, whenever any term, normally you all will be dealing with change in enthalpy and all. Okay, so as I said, what is the definition saying? It is the heat. It is not the definition, actually, just an explanation that it gives the heat content. Okay, now so students, see, in any system or when any reaction or anything is happening, there is always give and take of heat, which is nothing but one form of energy, right? Some reactions are endothermic, some reactions are exothermic. Some of them absorb heat, some of them release heat. Okay, so it is a form of energy only. Give and take or change in energy is called change in enthalpy. In simple words, if I have to tell. Okay, fine. Now here, what is ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy? Students, if you will read the definitions again, it is very easy to understand. See, from any element, okay, now see, we are discussing about S block, right? S block elements easily give away electrons, that is true. But even if they easily give away electrons, there is some amount of energy required to remove those electrons, right? Like from the first group, the one valence electron, if I have to remove it from its shell, some energy is required. From NH2, if I have to remove the two valence electrons, some energy is required. So the energy that is required in removing electrons, okay, energy required, that is the energy that is absorbed in order to remove the electrons, that is called ionization enthalpy. Okay, fine. And what is electron gain enthalpy, students? Electron gain enthalpy is the energy that is released from the system while it is accepting an electron. So they are like opposites of each other. Ionization enthalpy, energy required to remove the electron. Electron gain enthalpy, energy that is given out while accepting the electron. Students, see, if you all are not understanding this in quite detail, it is okay, because as I said, both these concepts are going to come ahead in this chapter. where it is taught in quite detail. But right now, at least the general idea you all should know to understand the statements that are written over here. Okay, so if I come back to this statement now, they have low ionization enthalpy, which decrease down the group, resulting in increased reactivity. See students, low ionization enthalpy means low value, low energy is required. Isn't that very obvious? Your S block elements, they easily give away electrons. They have the tendency to give away electrons. So I don't require much energy. मेरा काम थोड़े से एनर्जी में हो जाएगा of removing electrons from first and second group. I hope you all are understanding this. Okay, that is the reason they have low ionization enthalpy. High ionization enthalpy means more energy is required to remove the electrons. Okay, so your S block elements, they have low ionization enthalpy, okay, because they can easily give out electrons. So not much energy is required to remove the electrons, which decrease down the group, resulting in increased reactivity. As you all go down the group, okay, students, what happens when we go down the group? As we go down the group, new shells are added, right? Yes or no? New shells are added, meaning the valence electron is moving more and more far away from the nucleus. Okay, fine. Does this make sense to everyone? Please let me know what I'm discussing right now, the ionization, enthalpy and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
Okay, students, please let me know, okay, because this is a new concept that y'all are studying. So it's very simple. There's nothing that difficult. I don't understand why students can't remember this ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy. Very simple concepts. Okay, so why S block elements have low ionization enthalpy? Because they easily give out electrons. So I don't need much energy to remove the electrons. So my ionization enthalpy value is low. Okay, when I move down the group, new shells are added. New shells are added, meaning my valence electron is going more and more far away from the nucleus. मतलब जो nucleus का pull है वो एकदम बाहर वाले इलेक्ट्रॉन पे वो कम होते जा रहा है ना? Why the electrons are bound to the nucleus? Because of electrostatic force of attraction, right? Plus minus. Now if the electron is going very far away, meaning that removing that electron becomes more easy, right? Yes or no? So that is what they are saying. देखो, S block में already low ionization enthalpy है, but when you go down the group, it decreases. The value even more decreases. Why? Because removing electron is now more easy, because the valence electron is far away from the nucleus. You all are understanding? जितना easily electron निकाल सकते हो, उतना ज़्यादा उसका reactivity होता है. Okay, fine. So here in S block, as we move down the group, ionization enthalpy value is decreasing because removing electron is more easy, and that is the reason reactivity. Reactivity meaning how quickly the elements react. Okay, that is the reason your group 1, 2 elements are highly reactive. Okay, so the reactivity increases. So this was about S block, students. Okay, I hope you all have understood this. Now let's move ahead. Okay, next let us discuss about the P block elements, the characteristics of P block. Okay, fine. Okay, so here what you all can do is, you all know the first statement already, that group 13 to 18 are called P block, so that's okay. You all can mark this statement, students. Okay, this statement that is there, the P block elements together with the S block elements are called main group or representative elements. Students, this is just a term. Okay, fine. Like the elements that are present in S block and P block combined, they are called as main group elements or representative elements. It's just a term assigned to them. Similarly, your D block elements have a term, F block have a term. We'll see that ahead. Okay, so you can just mark this and keep. Okay, fine. Let's move ahead. The last group of the P block, namely the 18th group, is family of noble or inert gases. Okay, fine. This is something again that you all already know. These have closed valence shells, complete duplet in case of helium and complete octet in case of other noble gases. So students, in noble gases, except for helium, which is in duplet state, all other elements, they are in octet. Completed, right? P6, the entire p orbital is filled in the 18th group. Okay, fine. Therefore, they have very low chemical reactivity because they have, see students, why elements react with each other? in order to achieve stability. Why compounds are formed in order to achieve stability? But noble gases are something which are already stable. So why would they go and react with something, right? It makes sense. Okay, fine. So again, this point is something that you all already know. If I move ahead, what is written over here? Okay, fine. Is there anything? Okay, no. Elements of group 17, okay, they are called your halogen family, and group 16 are called chalcogen family. Okay, again, these are names assigned, students, like how group 1 elements are called alkali metals, group 2 are called alkaline earth metals, group 18 is called noble gases. Similarly, group 17 is your halogen, your chlorine, fluorine, bromine, iodine and all. And group 16, they are called chalcogen families. They include reactive non-metals. So your 18 is inert gases, done. Now let's come ahead. 17 and 16 are non-metals. See students, your P block that is there. Your P block is combination of metals, non-metals, metalloids. Okay, your S block is only metals, but your P block is combination of everything. So here they are actually telling you all which of them are metals, which are non-metals and everything. So your group 17 and 16, they are reactive non-metals. Okay, fine. The electron gain enthalpies being highly negative, they gain 1 or 2 electrons readily and form anions which have complete octet. Okay, fine. You can just simply just put a, like mark this and keep. Okay, fine. See students, electron gain enthalpy is high. Okay, fine. What is electron gain enthalpy? Electron gain enthalpy is the energy that is released while accepting electrons. High electron gain enthalpy means they easily accept electrons. Okay, fine. Just how low ionization enthalpy means they easily release electrons, high electron gain enthalpy means they easily accept electrons. So your group 17, basically these non-metals that are there, group 16 and 17, they have high electron gain enthalpies, they have a tendency to easily accept electron. Okay, so they gain 1 or 2 electrons readily and form anions. Now students, see your halogens, which is in group 17, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, etc., etc. You all must have seen, right? Your Cl is normally Cl minus. Yes or no? Because why it has become Cl minus? Because it is gaining electron and achieving that negative. Okay, elements with positive charge are called cations, with negative charge are called anions. I hope you all know this. Okay, fine. So your Cl minus, why it is becoming Cl minus? Because it is accepting electrons. Okay, fine. I hope you all understand. Because it has high electron gain enthalpy. Okay, it's in the name, electron gain. Okay, fine. All right. So similarly, they have the tendency, so accordingly, they have the tendency to form X minus or H2 minus. Okay, students, again here, X does not specifically stand for halogen, okay, because they have written, see, group 17 and 16, both of them are reactive non-metals. So this part of the explanation is generalized to the non-metals. Okay, so here, like how it was M plus and M2 plus, so similarly here it is X minus or H2 minus. Okay, fine. You all can simply write a minus sign. Okay, there's no need to put this circle and all. If you all want, you all can do it. Okay, fine. All right. What's written? The P block contains all the traditional types of elements, all the three, that is your metals, non-metals, metalloids. The metals are on the left, the non-metals are on the right, and the metalloids along a zigzag line. Now students, this point I already mentioned, that your P block is combination of metals, non-metals and metalloids. Okay, fine. If we just quickly, okay, students, before that I would like to tell you something, that there are 4 minutes left for the first session to end, 4 minutes 30 seconds. So when the session ends, see to it that you all rejoin. Okay, fine. Okay, where's your periodic table? Okay. So here we will just concentrate on P block as of for now. Okay, fine. So students, so I can see some zigzag, pink colored zigzag line over here in the P block section. Yes or no? You all can see, right? One pink colored zigzag line.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
miss.
Okay. So what
Yes,
they are,
yes.
yes. So what they are
Yes,
trying
ma'am.
to say is the elements which are along this zigzag line, they are metalloids. And the elements which are left to that are metals, which are right to that are non-metals. See, group 18 is inert noble gas, so forget that. Group 16 and 17 are reactive non-metals, just we have discussed that point. Yes or no? Okay. So your students, see which are the elements, you'll have to go along this zigzag line. Okay. So your boron is a metalloid. Silicon is a metalloid. Okay, fine. Your arsenic is a metalloid. Okay, antimony is a metalloid, tellurium is a metalloid. Okay, fine. And this last one, 80, it is astatine. So you all can see the elements that I've marked. These elements are metalloids in this P block. Okay, so what you all can do is somewhere, just maybe here somewhere in your periodic table. Okay, fine. In this one or the one that is there on page number 96. So there, just write down all these symbols. Just write the symbols. Don't need to write the entire name. Put boron, silicon, arsenic, antimony and all. Write down these symbols. Okay, fine. And then put a arrow or something and write down metalloids. Okay, fine. I hope you all are understanding what to do. Please do it right now. Later on, you all won't remember. Okay, fine. Tellurium and then astatine. Just draw the symbols of the elements and put an arrow and write down that these are the metalloids in the P block. Okay, fine. Students, if you all are done noting this down, then let me know. Okay.
Done, miss.
Okay, I'll wait for others.
Done, miss.
Done, miss.
Done.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. So let us just quickly go back over here. Okay, fine. So we are almost done with P block. There is one last statement that is left. Okay, just a minute. Miss, but textbook has mentioned germanium as polonium as also metalloid. On which page, Melissa, is this written? Just mention the page number, no? Okay, when the next session starts, that time just, okay, wait, on page number 94. Okay, I'll get to that. Okay, I'll get to that. Wait, I'll just quickly finish this last point. Okay, so students, we discussed this zigzag line. It separates metals from non-metals. Mark this last statement. Okay, just mark this last statement. The non-metallic character increases as we move from left to right, whereas it decreases as we go down a group. Okay, so students, see, in P block, on the left hand side there are metals, in center there are metalloids, and on the right hand side there are non-metals. So when you all are going from left to right, what is happening? Non-metallic character is increasing, because left में metals है, right में not metals है, तो metallic character decrease हो रहा है, non-metallic character increase हो रहा है. ठीक है? This is across, only for P block. What is happening down the group? The non-metallic character decreases down the group. Okay, fine. So see, students, if you all consider the first group, okay, the first group, there what is happening? Everything is metals. Okay, finally, this statement kind of doesn't make sense because it is different for every different group of P block. Okay, in center there are metalloids as well. So there are little bit metalloid characteristics, and down there are metals or non-metals. We don't know that. Okay, fine. So just remember the across the period one, that the metallic character is decreasing, or you all can remember the